Hello, welcome to our fourth episode of Talk Therapy Thursdays. TTT, because you know I got the T. So, today we're going to talk about why people fear therapy and the impacts of their fear. So, let's start with why they fear therapy. Um, Especially the minority community, they fear therapy because they fear the stigmatism that goes along with it. They fear the therapist may tell someone all their business. They fear that they're crazy if they have to get therapy. They also fear that they don't want to face what what's actually wrong. They want to say, "Oh, it's somebody put roots on me, or somebody did this, somebody did that." They don't want to face exactly what it is that's going on. So, the impacts of that though is you have people doing things to individuals like their kids. If you're depressed, it causes anger. Anger causes you to do things like, spanking a child is okay because in the state of Florida, it is legal to spank your child. It's just not legal to put bruises and marks on them. And usually, when people do that, it's because they're angry and they can't control themselves. And it goes from being a spanking to a full on beating. And that's when, causes problems. And if you're depressed, anger usually comes along with it. So if you're in a room, you don't want to be bothered, and your child is outside crying, needing your attention, and you're just down and just can't, withdrawn and everything, you don't have to deal with no child at that time. So guess what happens? The child faces the brunt of your depression, anger, or whatever it is that you got going on. If you've been traumatized, anything that reminds you of that trauma comes up. Let's say you've been raped and you haven't addressed that rape. Every time you're in a sexual relationship with somebody, if they touch you a certain way, you're being raped again, even though it's somebody who, you love and you're in a relationship with, and they're not actually raping you, but you just have flashbacks of that trauma because you haven't actually dealt with that trauma. So, that's just some extreme things that can happen. But just not dealing with like if you're burnt out, you're at work and you're stressed, you get burnout, your work starts to be affected. You have where individuals who are having mood problems, they'll go out and they'll when they're manic, they'll go out and spend all their money. Then when it comes time to pay the bills, they don't have the money there because they're having a manic episode. They're spending the money, and then when they're down, depressed, they realize that the money's all gone. So, not dealing with it has consequences to it. My house stays in my house. It doesn't actually go like that. So, okay. So let's say you have an anger problem, right? What happens in my house stays in my house. Every time you go outside, you get into a fight with somebody. Is it in your house? No, it's outside. What happens if you're in the store spending all your money and your cards are overdrawn because you have no more money in the bank? It's no longer in your house. What happens if somebody else end up calling the police because your children are walking outside at different times of night because you're so depressed that you're locked in your room? What happens in my house doesn't always stay in my house because there's always consequences to your action. There's positive and negative consequences to your actions at all times. A way for a person to get past their thoughts when it comes to therapy is to just actually meet a therapist. There's a lot of therapists who do consultations where there's no charge for it, where you can go out, talk to them, and just give them, a brief synopsis of what's going on. And then once you do that, you find if you're going to be comfortable or not talking to that person. Or talk to a pastor, talk to a friend, but talk to somebody. You have to talk to somebody because if you keep it in, guess what? It boils up and bubbles over and it comes out in a way you don't want it to come out. So if you want to have therapy with me, the best therapist there is, I should tell you that. But if you want to have therapy with me, you can call me 813-421-4876. You can email me rfinleyhawthorne.pomccllc@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on the website, www.peaceofmindhealing.com. You can reach me on Facebook and Instagram at Peace of Mind and Healing. And we can, if you don't feel comfortable, we have office where there's enough room where we can social distance in the office and still talk to each other. And I do appointments via Zoom and DoxyMe. I prefer Zoom though. But there's different ways. I also do FaceTime, Google Duo, any which medium that you think, even Skype, but just whichever medium that you feel that you'll be more comfortable with.